Oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity, people say. I've said this statement many times over the last couple of years. But I need to say it again. Why is populism known as populism? Is not the implication of that there is something inherent in humanity that wants to hate stuff that isn't them, that is slightly different to that person personally in whatever way? And that calls into question the idea of attributing this notion that we call humanity, which we would like broadly define as what we will call ethical behavior, and that, coupled with why do we call populism? Humanity doesn't have the right to give themselves these attributes. I've seen animals behaving with these attributes of love and compassion.
Yeah, I've seen animals doing that
more genuinely than I see humans doing it. The truth is, in your social groups, from my observation, living 46 years outside of any social groups, is that you all hate each other, and that's why populism is called populism. And it is looking from aerial photography and I think forensic architecture, who are just constantly trying to keep as close a watch as possible on what is going on in the Gaza Strip.
Do you remember a few years ago when they were nominated for the Turner Prize?
Yeah.
Then they were acceptable, and now they're
How
not.
times change.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, it seems that the society just flip-flops or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, a few years ago, everybody was talking about how they were going to examine their internal racism, and what happened to that?
Well, the surprising thing about that is discovering the extent to which people clearly have this societal internal racism, which has been the capacity of vast swathes of the population to continue life as normal, whilst knowing that the vast majority of things in the shops are making bullets to kill children in Gaza. And as we speak, the news is surfacing that it is looking very much like the Israeli government are building something in Rafah. They're opening the Rafah crossing, apparently.
Let's hope that it all goes well.
Yeah, let's hope it all goes well. But they're constructing something.
What are they constructing?
In Rafah, yeah. And it has the appearance of concentration camps. And you know, on one level, I'm, saying, have we let it get to this point? On another level, I'm saying, well, we've had over 2 years of a live-streamed genocide.
And there's been this accusation levelled before that there's been...
That they're preparing...
camps are being prepared in Rafah.
Yeah.
On the 11th of July, it's an article.
So it's been going on for a while. They're building these structures, and those people need to just get out from the Rafah crossing and away from the Zionist maniacs, and we need to start calling them what they are. These people are maniacs who are using ancient texts, ancient religious texts, to justify the mass slaughter. And if you do not know the statistics, well, how about this? Official, not conjecture or speculation, these are announced public figures, that in Gaza, the Israeli army has wiped out 2,700 bloodlines.
Entire families.
completely gone. All existing generations of these families just completely gone. And yet we still have evil people turning up in mainstream media questioning whether this is a genocide. And I will call them evil people. Because if you justify even the murder of one child, you are evil. You know, murdering a child, before a couple of years ago, child murder was the ultimate taboo. And now it seems that, well, under some circumstances it's acceptable because they're going to be future terrorists. No, they're not, you idiot. You cannot ascribe this to a child. You can't, like, what is this thing of, like, saying, oh, we're going to stop that because it might be that in the future? This has no basis in reality.
You don't know what's going to happen in the future. What? I just don't understand. It seems that the entire project, human project, now consists of saying this is going to happen in the future, but then simultaneously denying causality, as in if you do this, then this. So you know, like, I can't help looking at everything as basically just a massive public health crisis.
Yeah, well,
it's like you know, if you I don't know, in this country, if you pollute the river, lots of stuff is going to die, but nobody seems to. So if you completely destabilise an entire part of the world, then that is going to be a disaster for years, and it's going to, you know, and it's going to lead to all sorts of violence and problems, and basically all things that are basically symptoms of despair.
Yeah.
So.
But what about the people, like the people who live in Israel, are going to get the same diseases.
The poison in the air.
Israel has poisoned their own population.
The whole landscape. I mean, I don't understand why. You know, the amount of just stuff from concrete that must spill over into the water, and and the amount of just, you know, we're in a mass extinction event, and humanity is continuing to gouge out the land completely, and everybody in the population is talking about sides, and you said, and I'm talking about destruction and death, and I'm saying I don't want to see destruction and death, because, you know, I feel like I live here, so I think I should be able to have an opinion.
But it's okay, Lottie, because parts of Gaza now, from footage that I have seen, have been bulldozed so much that they're now just sand. And that sand is made of concrete and bones and blood of thousands of dead people that they are apparently going to build a lovely leisure complex on top of. Won't that be nice? Would you like to live in that world where they build leisure complex on top of the bodies of thousands of tortured human beings? Does that sound good? Doesn't sound good to me. I would hate to go to that leisure complex, you know? So it's really time again to talk about Gaza, because since the so-called ceasefire, when no real ceasefire happened, because it looks to me, from looking down the lists of Palestinian people that I follow on the internet, that there seems to be drones and bombing all the time. Now, let me just put here something that we have to state very clearly. It is not anti-Semitic to criticize the state, the government of Israel. That does not mean that you dislike Jewish people. I don't dislike Jewish people. I don't dislike anyone based on their religion or whatever. I dislike people if their behavior is that of a horrible person. Then I will dislike them. And Benjamin Netanyahu has the behavior of a horrible person. Therefore, I dislike him profusely and wish the fires of hell upon him. But, well, for example, like, here's a thing that I didn't tell you this, Lottie. We signed up to Upscroll yesterday, the new social media thing, which doesn't have censorship or algorithms, but particularly it's set up by a Palestinian guy, and it doesn't have censorship of Palestinian-related material, as all the other social networks have had for the past 2 years. You know, to an insane level, to the point where for us now they're next to useless for using it to raise money for Palestinian people. We've been raising money for Palestinian people via releasing their music for the last 2 years, but sales have like completely dried up because everybody thinks it's stopped, when in fact these people are pretty much literally living in hell on earth, in tents, in floods,
still bombing.
Yeah. So it isn't anti-Semitic to call the insane Zionist government of Israel insane and horrible. It is a government, and if it was anti-Semitic to be appalled at the actions of the Israeli government, which incidentally I will also say is pretty much the same thing as the US and the UK government. If it was anti-Semitic to do that, then why have I seen so much footage of deeply religious Jewish people being beaten up by policemen for protesting the genocide? Why has every single Holocaust survivor that I've seen interviewed about what's happening in Gaza been appalled by what's happening in Gaza and saying that it is happening again? It's the same thing. It doesn't matter who is doing it to whom. The action is the same thing. And yes, genocides have happened before, which is the thing people say. There's like, what are you trying to normalise that? Oh, it's happened before. I thought we said never again.
Shouldn't we be aiming to do a bit better? Like, yeah, we said never again, but then like there's tons of other genocides. So it's just like I haven't said the whole like push back at any sort of accusations of anti-Semitism, well, actually, because nobody actually talks to me at all already, so I'm not in society.
Well, you've had a few.
I've had a few, and I felt like I don't really need to push back because it's obviously ridiculous, isn't it?
True.
Because it's ridiculous.
The whole idea that criticising...
I mean, you know what I mean? I've been an ardent anti-fascist since I was a child.
The whole idea that criticising the state of Israel is the same thing as hating people of the Jewish faith.
Well, I don't believe in government. You know what I mean?
But it is one of the most horrible pieces of exploitative propaganda that anybody has ever done.
And I don't really want to give it the time of day.
No, any credence
but, since
whatsoever.
We're talking about it, but because it's like, as my father keeps saying, like, in the old days, all our grandparents were Antifa.
Everyone
unless
is
you were,
anti-fascist.
unless you were like,
because they were fighting against the fascists.
But the modern conception of it seems to be like 2 world wars and 1 World Cup, and it's like, but nobody won there. Nobody won. We didn't prevent a genocide. The reason we know about genocide is because we don't prevent them.
Yeah.
1 person lost is too much.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm sorry, but it's just rubbish.
Yeah.
I'm obviously a peace activist.
Now, let's ask the next question. Fundamentally, who was it in Nazi Germany that permitted it to happen? Well, you could say it was Hitler and Hess and Goering and Goebbels. You could say it was the relatively small amount of fanatical racists. Now, to put this in context, to understand anti-Semitism, you have to go right back to like pretty much 2,000 years. Well, a bit shorter than that. But when Emperor Constantine turned Europe to this version of Christianity, which was actually a form of governance, and everybody became Christian, then the only minority in Europe, the only people, the humans with their loving for what we call populism, attacking the other, anti-Semitism was the only racism in Europe, really, for thousands of years. So for the Nazis to be able to plug into that was a very, very simple thing. A very simple thing to do, because this was already hard-coded. And, post-globalization, racism has just flowered into all sorts of
bizarre,
wonderful...
sort of postmodern racism things that involve, like, flat earth and lizards or whatever.
So now there's more opportunity to grasp onto racists, but the main one, in fact, the main racism that I see on the internet, without a doubt now, is not anti-Semitism, but is Islamophobia. Oh yeah, but that brings me back to the story that I was saying about going on to Upscroll last night. It seemed very nice last night, but then today I've seen actually loads of anti-Semitism on
exactly.
there.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like, can we not have a place where there's just no one? Because being anti-Semitic is also fascist. It's not the Jews who are doing anything. It is a group of basically evil businessmen. That is who is doing it. There is no religious or ethnic group that is doing it.
The blaming religion has always been a tactic to sort of, well, I mean, it mostly seems to be about land, and a lot of it seems to be about men hate women.
Yeah.
These types of men, I'm not just saying just men, but I mean, there's a lot of, it's always this conversation about, from the dawn of time. It's this conversation about going and, getting the women and all the stuff, like using women as you're not going to be safe because of this other, and I, as a female, I'm slightly sort of kind of offended by it, really. That it's kind of like, well, hang on a minute, like for me, the amount of like just random attacks by men has been, and like this hard-coded misogyny has been like a constant, and I don't know, it looks to me like a load of blokes who are like misogynists who are in power. I mean, they all look like that to me, but so they all seem to have that in common.
But then let's briefly touch upon the reply, the current sort of trendy reply among fascists to give to any of this is, so you support Muslim grooming gangs then? Well, just to give a brief answer to that. Like misogyny isn't confined to one group, but to anyone who says to me Muslim grooming gangs, I'm going to reply with another 3-word answer: the Epstein files. I mean,
but also, like, surely, why are you making the distinction between the kind of religious disposition of the grooming gang members? I mean, surely the problem should be grooming, shouldn't it? And like, I mean, there's a lot of people that I know personally who have started talking about this. I mean, as I said, no one talks to me anymore, but like people from my past who have like from, I grew up in rural England, so it's sort of there's not a huge amount of libraries, so obviously that generally tends to lead to a particular sort of just really kind of sheltered mentality. A lot of stuff. Like growing up in the Isle of Wight, there's a lot of people who've never left kind of a village on the Isle of Wight, and not trying to criticise or anything, but you end up with quite a sheltered worldview. And what's the point I was talking about? The sort of growing up through the 80s and 90s, the general thing I heard from men was like woman, sort of like this like kind of just sort of I don't know, kind of, what do you want to call it, sort of like language sexism, like depictions of like Flintstones or whatever. But sort of a lot of the men that I met on the Isle of Wight, they would have thought it was good to sort of hit you over the head and then drag you back to make you your wife. So obviously that's not everyone, but that does exist. So like, it's sort of like a universal, isn't it? There's really misogynist.
And we live in this lie
that seems to be the problem to me.
We live in this complete lie that in the West we're far more evolved in our attitudes to women than
really.
in the East, and that is one of the many layers of propaganda that's going on here. And I'm shocked at the extent to which we are as people propagandized. I didn't realize, because I don't really participate in popular culture really not very much at all, and now like starting to look at it more and seeing like how the extent to which the military is dominating everything, even but really a lot in the entertainment industry. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about what is the most dangerous thing in a fascist state. Is it the leaders? Is it the propaganda machine? And it isn't. The most dangerous thing is this: that in Nazi Germany, there were like an amount of people who were really enthusiastic Nazis. There were an amount of people who were resistors. There were an amount of people who were like the Nazi party, and then they had their body of like enthusiastic support. The first item in our list there. The other 90% of people in Germany were people who looked the other way, said it's got absolutely nothing to do with me.
Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. Got on with paying their taxes, living as quiet a life as they could, because it had nothing to do with them. They are the ones who enable it. More so than the ranting, raving, right-wing, fascist, screaming supporters shouting everywhere. It's the people who just don't do anything, who sit on the fence and do nothing, who actually legitimize, because if they're going, that's fine, they are legitimizing whatever the evil system is doing. And at this point, I would like to say to all the people who, and I know some of you listen, to all the people who have like stopped talking to me because of my attitudes towards this over the last couple of years. I now dislike you profusely even more. Yes, I dislike you even more profusely. You're still not doing anything. You still, made me even more of an outcast than I already was. And that goes across personal relationships, but also across the media, across the way that the media interacts with me, because I have a long checkered history with the media that has, I've had access and contact and plenty coverage in the past in all the mainstream press, The Guardian, The Independent, The Times, Mojo Magazine, all of those things, all the way down to the dregs and filth of The Wire magazine. And we've seen the last 2 years and been at the butt of media deplatforming, and we see it actively, and we live inside it now. And actually, it kind of sucks, but the main reason I've been trying to get media coverage the last couple of years is to raise money for the Palestinian artists. Because it turns out, at least for a period, I was better at raising money for Palestinian people than I was for myself. I'm not very good at raising money for myself. But the problem is it's not real, is it? Money's not real. All of this is fake. All of this society that we built here is built completely on sand and means next to nothing. And look at what they've done to Gaza. Well, that could be you next, couldn't it? We just don't know. The people of Greenland weren't expecting the threat of America, were they? Is America going to want to take Cornwall? Is there some resources underneath Cornwall which are going to be very useful?
Everywhere can be a potential resource in this
to the colonialist project. But let's not despair, even though it is difficult to not despair. And what I mean, people can say, "Oh, you're generalising." Not all are like that. But when people are put into desperate situations, you often see the best of humanity, and the faith and resilience that the Palestinian people have shown over the last 2 years. And I say this as somebody who talks to Palestinian people most days. Is inspiring to the level that it should shame our whole culture, shame our whole attitude to each other, our attitude to our families, our attitude to our friends, the backbiting doublethink of English culture. It shames us, and the whole West at the moment. Everybody should be ashamed. Everybody should be hanging their head in shame, because if we don't do that, we are not going to get towards a better society. If you are in that 90% who sit there and go, "Oh well, it's got nothing to do with me," well then you have a job to do now. You have to tell all of your friends what is really going on. You have to not fear the government. You have to not fear speaking about it. You have to not fear the government, because fearing the government in a situation like this, fearing that drip Keir Starmer's blatantly fascist government now, legitimizes them, and it gives them power. So don't fear them. Mock them. Mock Keir Starmer, and mock the people around him, and mock Netanyahu, and mock Donald Trump. It's powerful to mock. The Americans have really got this down. There is much gold footage of like guys dressed as Vikings chasing ICE agents down the street. This ICE agent's carrying his machine gun, but he can't even get get his arms near it, because if he tries to concentrate on anything else, he's gonna be knocked down and beaten by a marauding horde of Baltimorean Vikings, And, this is the kind of thing we have to start doing in this country. You do not take the oppressor seriously, because there is something wrong with the oppressor. There is always something wrong with the oppressor. We know that if someone is a serial killer, there is something psychologically wrong with them. So why doesn't that work on figures in positions of authority?
Yeah. I don't understand this thing of kind of, well, I mean, sort of this, we have to do a war. No, there's always another way. There's always a way through. There's always a way that doesn't involve violence. There's always, the solution is to just pour more and more guns and everything into everything. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not going to work, is it? Because guns kill people. Yeah.
So we know anyway why that is happening. The infinite war has been going on for a while. And we know what the mechanism of that is. That it is simply for tax breaks.
Well, yeah,
they've made these weapons, they've got to use them somewhere.
But they've got to use some of them, because the other thing as well is if you actually utilised what the global budget for all military was, and you set off all the weapons at the same time, then nothing would exist and the entire Earth would probably explode. So it's just stupid anyway. If you used all this oil that they're trying to sell and whatever, if you used all the oil that was in the ground, we would all be dead. So it's just completely pointless anyway. Whatever, people can have a go at me and tell me I'm evil because I don't support blowing up the planet.
Yeah, but it is the time.
Isn't it? It's stupid.
I've been trying to say this to
how is that going to
people.
Help anything?
I've been trying to say to people for the last couple of years, this is not the time to wait until the bad thing happens. We are really deeply in the bad thing now. And silence on the mass murders is complicity at this point. It is. And I'm of the opinion now that if you're a practicing artist with an audience, if you haven't spoke about this, then you are completely complicit. Because what do people look at as evidence for cultures. When we're digging up on archaeological digs, we're looking for things like works of art, artifacts, sculptures, paintings, cave paintings. We look at the art to see what was happening in a culture at that time. So if you're an artist with an audience and in the last 2 years your work has not touched upon the realities that are happening in this world, then you present then to history a skewed viewpoint on what has been going on. And it makes you, I think you're not an artist by that point. You're someone who's filling time. You're just filling time with nothing.
Servant of Ronald McDonald,
yeah.
Basically. So
We in times of great, I would say, existential crisis for the human soul.
Yeah, really.
If you're an artist and you haven't touched upon this, and your art has just been all about, look how wonderful what I do is, then you should be deplatformed and certainly not being commissioned by anybody. But the people who are getting all the commissions, precisely, I mean, I don't want any part of the art world anyway. We all know as well that the art world is completely complicit in the what's been going on with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. The main places to launder money are the fashion world, the art world, and somewhere else I can't remember. Horses, apparently.
Yeah, horse racing.
So the horse racing thing is complicit in it. So I want no part of the art world, and the art world has never wanted a part of me over the past 25 years. So why not detach even more from it and say that the only art or music that is of any relevance now is art and music which is existing outside the art industry, outside the music industry. I would say that the only film that's going to be worth looking at is film that's made outside of the industry. The industries are all complicit in mass murder and trafficking. So maybe it's time to build some new ones.
I mean, you know what I mean? I've been talking about this with the whole trafficking thing, and I was in modelling and...
yeah, are you going to tell the story?
I'm not going to tell the exact story because I don't want to. But I met several people who were connected to in various ways.
Yeah.
And it's I expect everyone in the media probably knows someone who's sort of, and also just with like. Yeah, there's a lot of famous perverts.
Yes. But also...
I mean, I don't know how to talk about it without making it sound like it's being cheapened, but I just don't understand how... I mean, of course people who have loads of money, where did they get the money from, you know what I mean?
But
like,
also,
where did they get the billions of pounds?
But also, you broke a memory for me because you said this thing, and we both worked out that we had the same experience when we've both been at points where we've been really on the cusp of like being famous and stuff in the entertainment industry, and we both had these same interactions. It happened to me twice where I ended up in a conversation after a show with a man in like who wasn't the same usual sort of guy who would come up and talk to me after a show, because he was like dressed like a business guy and engaged me in conversation. And two people at very different times asked me if the question of basically, so you're virtuous then. And you had the same thing. You were asked if you were virtuous.
People have said quite strange things to me about sort of like innocence and purity and virtue and everything in kind of business context, and I was always a bit like,
what interesting. Why are you asking about my morals in a business context?
Yeah, I mean, I just think.
And so it turns out
you're just not surprised when you find out the people who are dealing with like the body are like, sort of women, like are going to be into some dodgy stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the entertainment industry seems to be predicated on the idea that they, at least in the upper echelons of it, they want to test out whether you have ethics or not.
well, I mean, I suppose it's...
it's not going to be much of a problem for if this was going to continue into the future generations, because wasn't your mother saying to you that the main thing that teachers are having to drum into students in schools now, to young people, is to show them ethics, because
empathy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fritz Lang, the thing that was the starting point for our film, The Madonna of Bedminster. Fritz Lang being interviewed by William Friedkin, saying that he's an atheist, but he thinks that the loss of religion is a terrible idea, and he just says, well, how will we teach ethics? And we live now in that. It isn't the fault of young people that they haven't been taught ethics.
I'd also say that it's like, that sort of thing in the Bible, the forgiven father. I mean, that's kind of like, forgive everyone because everybody's stuck in this like weird ideological system, and you literally can't see.
They don't know what they're doing.
You can't see the wood for the trees because it's completely crazy.
Yeah.
So like,
but it is time.
Make a choice.
Somebody has to engage the young people in, we're not going to use terms like left wing or right wing,
I just think that's
someone has to engage young people in the idea that a better world is possible, and in ethical ideas, simple things that we thought were given, but it turns out that people need them. Like, it's bad to kill. Don't hate people because they're different to you.
Screaming in someone's face is really not actually particularly good to do, because it makes you insert whatever expletive you want.
Yeah.
There.
I also think that in many ways, the original notion of like cool was really destructive and was part of the thing to make people more complacent and to just suggest things. But I think now cool should be kind of reclaimed.
Well, yeah,
people should want to be cool, because cool means
people's
that
behaviour makes me
but cool means that you're not going to scream and shout and go and cool means that you have some actual like ethics. I think cool could be reclaimed
there's a lot
to mean like good person.
A lot of interactions I've had lately over the past few years involved people screaming at me in the street.
Yeah.
And like, this is why I don't go out anymore. But in Bristol, for instance, a bunch of blokes barked at me outside out of a car. Somebody spat in my face. Another guy came up and started screaming all this like really, really gross, pervy stuff at me. Like, I don't know what else. People shoving you, like people coming up and screaming in your face. I just like, I've had a few interactions lately with women where they've squawked at me for nothing, and I've just been stood there, but like just had that sort of thing of like the look of hatred, and then they start going, ah! Like, what are you doing? Like, what, where's this like supposed feminist solidarity that I keep hearing all about?
But also some of these behaviours that you're talking about, I think
unhinged.
are English, but they're also English.
Yeah, but they're unhinged. It's like watching a preschooler.
It is.
Like about how they think, like how they think.
Well, one of the great discoveries of my life in the last few years, I've realised this thing that, like, I've gone through many like internal transformations in my life. I've like had moments of epiphany where I've seen things in particular ways, or realized that like, like when you realize things about your behavior, and like I've had this thing in me my whole life where like on a fundamental level, I know I need to try and be a better person.
Yeah.
And that is what maybe makes you grow up. This aspiration to try and be better, to try and do less harm, to try and make things more fun or tolerable or exciting or whatever for other people.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm shocked, but I think that perhaps one of the major problems, and I think this hasn't always been the case, I think it is caused by the entertainment complex. People don't grow up in this culture. And that is why people still want to listen to the same music they listened to when they were 13, because they're still 13
people
inside.
collect action figures. I just, you know what I mean? I'm not like, I think a big reason I've been reading a lot about think pieces or whatever, and there's a general, agreement that the reason that everyone under a particular age can't grow up is because we're all living in, well, really cramped housing. Like most people I know in cities are house sharing. Even if they've got kids, they're house sharing. Like how that kind of puts you in a stunted position in terms of actually being able to claim a life and stuff. So if people are like scrambling about and they've got a baby and they're living with housemates, it's kind of it's crazy, isn't it? So it's partly that as well, that if you're living in a thing where a flat in London is however much, if you want anything that's like not a dilapidated, mold infested, whatever, but even if you pay sort of £4 a month, you're going to get somewhere that sucks. So I mean, it kind of puts people in this like stunted position where the only thing they've really got is like an escape, like Netflix or whatever, because
there's nothing to do.
Because there's nothing to do.
Space
like
to move
sort
around.
of, I was thinking about kind of during kind of World War times, people did went out dancing. My grandma talked a lot about how she'd go out dancing with like an American officer or something. Oh yeah, all the Americans were around. And I went to the dance hall thing and like listened to like a band, and there's nothing like that now. There's nothing for people to do that is like doesn't involve alcohol, where you're actually allowed to be somewhere without making a transaction.
Yeah, you got to buy things and be drunk in this society. And
if you want to use the toilet, you've got to make a transaction, like a monetary one.
Yeah, it's a huge dupe. It's a huge deception. It's a huge impediment on the potential of humans. Like, I lived, and then we lived for many years in extremely uncomfortable situations, very cramped situations. For the last year, we've lived in this wonderful space where I'm able to like paint. I'm able to make weird automata. I'm able to rehearse theatre companies and accommodate theatre companies in the space that we are very lucky to exist in. And if I'd have spent the last year living in a room in someone's house or living in a flat that's so small people have panic attacks when they come in to ostensibly collaborate and then run away.
Well, that happened a few times actually, didn't it?
Yeah. And then I wouldn't have made any of the paintings that I've made. I wouldn't have made musical automata. I wouldn't have been able to bring the theatre groups over to rehearse, and then as well as doing the rehearsal, just spending the time with those people because they stay over cooking for the people and having those conversations. And it's just a great robbery of human potential to enclose humans in tiny little grotty spaces.
Yeah, it's dreadful, and like it shouldn't have to be a sacrifice that you go to the city and then you've got to choose between like having to live in the rural bit without any public transport or living in the city and being able to get a job where you can sort of walk to work effectively. Like you shouldn't have to make that choice between like being able to put your arms across the room or like walk across the room without breaking your foot. You broke
we
2
live in
toes
is
when we were.
yeah. What we live in is a fallacy and a disgrace, and the whole Western project has been unmasked by the Gaza Strip and then the wild invasion of Venezuela, and now the threats to Greenland, and they're going to apparently take Cuba,
the Congo,
and everything that's
and
going
the
on.
never-ending, like the never-ending war in with Ukraine and Russia.
So it's just it's open, it's out, it's unmasked, and if you accept it now, you have a serious problem.
I mean, we've got to find another way. Like, it can't just be like flinging heavy artillery at each other. There's got to be another option.
If we continue in this way, the inevitability is that we all die.
I'm pretty sure that like blowing everything up isn't like the only solution to everything. I'm pretty sure like destroying absolutely everything shouldn't be the inevitability. It doesn't have to be. And like, you know, I can't even be bothered to like, if people are going to shout at me and saying, "Oh, you're."
I don't
hate.
care.
I just don't care anymore. Like, I don't have any hate towards anyone. I only have like grief and sadness that the human society's gotten to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a disaster. Like,
My main big grief is that human society's got to this point, and the people in the society are willing to let it happen. I thought that people thought that we will
working towards.
I mean, come on, we live near Totnes. Totnes is a proper "we are one, we are one"
obviously we're
kind
not,
of town.
So, like, no one actually believes that apparently. Well, I don't know. I just think that humanity can do better. Really.
Yep.
Like, that's like a very nice way of putting it.
But to do that, it has to come from the individual first. So if you feel like you ain't been doing anything about this, even just like standing up about it, just post on your social network, "I don't accept this," or give away some of your money if you have it. If you have like a lot of it, and I know a lot of you do, because 75% of people in the UK are pretty much as rich as Henry VIII was, and have many, many resources. So give some of your money away to people in Palestine, Sudan, Congo. Give it away to people who need it, and just be active. Talk to your friends about it. Tell your friends what is actually happening in this society. And it doesn't matter if they fall out with you, because they're wrong and you are right. Because this is not the post-truth age. There are still basic human truths. And among those basic human truths is, we don't kill babies.
Yeah, and the basis of that is pain hurts. Do you want to be in pain? No. So therefore, do you think anyone else does? No.
Yeah, didn't someone really famous once say, "Treat others as you would like to be treated"?
I mean, I'm too depressed about it. I mean, what do you say? What do you say?
Yeah,
really?
well, that's what I've been feeling.
It's just embarrassing, isn't
like
it?
By this point, what do you say?
I don't know what to
But
say.
it's the same thing if you to one of the 90% in Nazi Germany who just went along with it. They would have the same response. What are you talking about? Oh, you're such a. Who were considered the bad ones and the disruptors in Nazi Germany? The resistance. Well, here we are.
And I mean, we've had quite a few, historical sort of. We've got a whole subject area called history. So you can see how these things operate because it's happened before.
Yeah.
So
And I thought
do
people.
what the other people.
I thought in general people,
done.
especially the like my generation and upwards, had a really clear grasp on the rise of Hitler and would be able to see the signs, etc., etc. But much in the same way that the rest of Europe just let Hitler happened, bear in mind it was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7 years Hitler was in power before the beginning of World War II. So the rest of Europe just let it happen. They knew what was going on with the ghettoization of the Jewish people, and I spoke to somebody this week whose mother was in the resistance and helped get Jewish people out of France and into the UK. And they were involved with the spy agencies and so on. And apparently the idea that the British government did not know about the concentration camps is not strictly true. I would say obviously the soldiers didn't, but the government, they will about every idea. Apparently, that's what I've heard. Anyway, so we've been lied to in so many ways. And sorry?
I've been reading about, people definitely, it's accepted public record that they did kind of have an inkling of what was going on, but I'm not aware of how much that is, but I just, why can't we stop regimes?
Yeah. You can see all the signs of a fascist regime beforehand, and this great statement that I saw someone make that's very succinct: fascism happens very slowly and then all at once. And with what's going on with the hunger strikers, with Keir Starmer trying to ban platforms where people can actually find information that isn't the legacy media, with the government's placid acceptance of a massive 2+ year genocide, 2.5 year, 2 years and 2 months genocide. Well, you're in fascism, honey, and it's time to start saying no to it. And we all have to do it, because it's, if you don't, it's going to get worse.
Do you want a world that's just constant violence and
fighting? Death and torture.
So yes, my friends, everything is a little bit wretched, but don't worry, because remember, the sun will always shine, the birds will always sing. Wherever there is love, there's always the real thing. Coca-Cola is always the one, because wherever there is love, there's always Coca-Cola. Yeah, remember that one?
Yeah.
It's
funny because I couldn't remember it earlier.
You got it now though, haven't you? It's going to be stuck in your head forever.
It is, but it's the same as one of the songs from the Care Bears too.
Yeah, well that's the reason we ended up talking about it. Because the other day, is it called A New Hope?
Or A New Generation.
Oh, right.
Gen Z.
Oh yeah, A New Generation, because they have that whole thing with the sort of nappy changing automaton.
It's got some weird robot childcare, sort of vaguely eatable bear.
Robot diaper,
nuclear,
bottom, nuclear,
like glove thing, but with the child care bear.
Yeah.
I think I watched it because it was really disturbing. I remember it had this bit where they were all encased in ice, and then you said that you've spoken to a lot of other people who also found that equally
absolutely
disturbing. I found
over
it
the
really
years.
disturbing.
Whenever the subject of the Care Bears has come up in my life, I mean, more often than you might think, in fact, but whenever that theme comes up, and it's obviously always people who were born in the 1980s, there's always someone in the group who goes, oh yeah, but don't you remember that film where they were trapped in the crystals?
In the crystal. Like all about sports.
It's really disturbing.
I found it really disturbing.
And there's that little red-haired boy who is called something like the Soul Destroyer or the Eater of Worlds or something like that. It's a very strange movie. I would heartily recommend it. It's more exciting than anything you'll find on Netflix, and the music really
stinks.
is an abomination.
It's all like da, 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 Well, no, that's one of the better ones, isn't it? There's sort of like.
There's a few ballads in there.
You
that-
look into the sky, I'll be with you, and we'll be together forever in my heart. Or something.
They're like Mormon songs or something. You know, in fact, you sang one earlier on, and I thought for a moment you were singing one of the Mormon songs. I thought you were singing, while I am in my early years, I'll prepare most carefully so I can marry in God's temple for eternity. Families can be together forever through Heavenly Father's plan. The sun will always shine, the birds will always sing. But wherever there is love, there's always the real thing. Wherever there is love, there's always Coca-Cola. I read a statistic that said that each can of Coke sold equals 1 bullet.
Well, I mean, I've been sort of like not drinking Coca-Cola or buying anything made by Nestle, etc. for many, many years, and I thought, you know, there was a consensus that it was like, well, it's not good for you either, is it? And I've read that they use it to clean oil slicks.
Yeah.
Or something. Oh no, they use it to clean the road.
But there's that
and there's that thing with the penny.
You can put the penny in it, and
like,
it cleans
like,
the penny.
So what's that doing to your inside?
If it cleans a penny,
what is it? What does it taste of?
It tastes of. I think the taste of it is kind of like a caramel taste.
What's the base thing that it's?
Evil.
Well, yeah.
It used to be cocaine, and now it's just evil.
Ironically, it was more ethical then.
Sounds way more
I
ethical.
have to say that on the radio. It's not an application for anything.
No, you're allowed to say whatever you like. Do you know why? Because we live in a country where we have freedom of speech, don't we, Kia?
We're lucky
Mr. Starman.
to have a voice. No, what was it? What did you say?
These people are lucky to live in a country where they're allowed to have a voice.
Well,
George
okay,
W. Bush,
that, so
after
being allowed to
the
have
government
a voice.
completely ignored the Iraq war protests. But Keir Starmer seems to be shifting this consensus of people having a voice.
Yeah.
I saw today or yesterday a guy got accosted by a security guard in an airport and was asked to remove his t-shirt,
Right.
which said Free Palestine on it. Didn't
Oh.
say Palestine action or anything like that. It just said Free Palestine. And I think eventually they let him on the plane because the bloke was like, I'm not taking off my t-shirt. You want me to walk on the plane bare-chested?
Well, I don't know.
Not Andrew
Like,
Tate.
It's kind of like that thing in school where you have to ask for permission to go to the toilet, and like everybody always listens to the school teacher on it, and it's like, no, what everyone should actually do is like, you know, just go on the floor, because it's sort of like, if you're going to restrict people's
From going to the
basic
toilet.
things,
Yeah.
and like give people sort of
That
kidney
is,
dough.
to me,
I kind
that
of
is
feel the same
one
way
of the
as
most
guy.
vile things about the
yeah.
education system. If somebody needs to go potty, then they should be able to go potty. The idea that the idea that we program kids into thinking it's acceptable for somebody to tell them that they can't go and pass water or bum gut filth without permission, that seems like some serial social conditioning.
Yeah.
So kids, overthrow your teachers, go to the lavatory, whatever you want, or do it on the floor.
If they don't let you go to the toilet, just do it and be like, fine then. And I really regret not doing this all the way through school because I'm so scared of teachers. And I kind of think if like the authorities are telling you to take your clothes off in public because they don't like your t-shirt, I mean, I would think that the sort of like prevalence of neo-Nazi groups everywhere would, you know, that would kind of raise a few sort of eyebrows and stuff, but that's just kind of being allowed to...
Or even dare we say alarm bells.
Or whatever the phrase is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, as we've established and as we're all aware, we're in a completely bizarre time in l'histoire, but we have to not be completely pessimistic about it. We have to realise that actually big changes can happen very, very quickly, and I think that's probably what we're going to see over the course of the next year. So don't lose heart. A better future, I think, at this point, is inevitable, because how can it really get that much worse?
Ask the Palestinian people, can stuff get much worse? No, it can't. It can't for them. You know, it's no good. But there's a lot of inventive people among the humans. Even if many, many of them aren't inventive, many of them are. And there are ways and means and solutions to fix things, to look at things in different ways. So in my opinion, what you all need to do, citizens, is start to look at everything in as different a way as possible. So when you look at your dog, look at it from a different angle. Climb underneath. Start calling it a cat. What do you think, Lottie?
What about dogs?
Yeah.
What, general or?
No, about
dog
finding new ways to look at your dog. You're dog friendly.
Like in Ridley Walker, dog friendly.
Yeah, well,
Most dogs.
except
Certain ones.
yeah, that Christian
very
dog.
Badly behaved.
That Christian dog doesn't like you either.
No, but I don't really blame them.
No.
I mean, so it seems pretty hit and miss with dogs to me. They seem really intrigued or they want to kill me.
Yeah, like people.
Yeah.
Same. Although the
And dogs
ratio might
sort
be
of like,
different.
I mean, they sold out really, didn't they? They kind of
Sold out to
they
the humans.
agreed with the they sided with the evil.
Yeah, all dogs are sellouts, man.
Like,
They're all
they
sellouts.
came in and cats.
Do you
they
think all the
sided
other?
with the humans.
Well, no. Apparently, that's
They
not
should-
the case.
They should have stayed in the wilderness.
Apparently
and
with cats-
eaten the humans.
Yeah, but with cats, apparently it's different. The cats are exploiting the humans. Like, I can't remember, but there was research about it. The cat's attitude is they think humans are idiots. And
Yeah,
they're like, fine, you want to feed me, fine. Yeah, you want to house me, fine. Whereas dogs are definitely man's best friend. And if you Hefner are a bit too friendly, oh dear. Yeah, of course. One can suggest things that might lead you to do some research on a search engine. Maybe you don't want to know. So, how will we make the world better? Well, with massive
everyone
systemic
really,
change
like,
and
everyone's
music.
Gotta, really chill out for a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone has to just I don't it's a lot of effort to go and run around saying you hate everybody
It really is.
and stuff. And I don't know. I get the impression that society, a lot of mainstream society, wants to do this sort of club thing and things like the existence of the phrase 2 world wars and 1 World Cup. I mean, that is quite inconsiderate, really, isn't it?
It is, but
It's sort of reductive.
Yeah.
Nobody won. This is how we see major societal problems, and that in itself is a problem.
Well, I was really shocked when
It's
the
teeming of
Ukraine.
kind of lots of sort of
Yeah.
terrible death is nobody wins, and I don't know, people should be mourning everything.
But when the Ukraine stuff started, and suddenly I realised that the government were asking us personally to take sides in a war.
I'm not.
To be like, I'm against Russia.
As far as I'm concerned,
I'm against all governments.
war is like a public health crisis, as is polluting the river with everything. I don't know, pushing people to get to the point where they hate each other enough to cause like mass societal breakdown. I mean, there are reasons that populations kind of get shaken up into sort of totalitarianism and stuff. It's always the same pattern, like an economic recession, and then like somebody will sort of take advantage of that and take advantage of like that, or a power vacuum, and then the people who are like really shouldn't be in control of any country will always be the ones that really want to do it. So my suggestion is we make it so that people who don't want to do it at all, who really can't imagine anything worse,
like you say,
a country,
it should be like jury duty.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a privilege. Like it's basically.
And
an
it should
admin
always
job.
be a not one person running it.
No,
it should always be a group. Yeah.
Should be sort of, I don't know, there shouldn't be a kind of figurehead, because it turns someone into a celebrity. So the whole thing of political leaders being celebrities, when basically they're supposed to be doing admin. They're supposed to be figuring out how the bins get picked up. They're supposed to be not pouring feces into the river. Like, they're supposed to be making the society work. It's supposed to be boring. It's not supposed to be Tony Blair spends however many hundreds of thousands of pounds on a swimming pool that like raises up out of the ground.
Yeah, you put all the bodies in.
Well, no, it's like a flat thing, isn't it? And then it kind
the
of
bodies
goes down.
are underneath the bottom bit.
I don't really.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like, why? You know, why do people? But then the population loves it. They love a kind of celebrity.
They do,
leader.
but
They always
the
say,
kind
oh,
of
but he's not a very good public
the
speaker.
kind
or
of systemic
he's a
change
very
that
good...
we need will require the total dismantling of this stupid celebrity culture.
It's crazy. Like they all say things like, oh well, such and such was popular because they were a very good public speaker, and then you look at all the guys
And they're
that they're
terrible.
saying are really good at it. It's all just like weird men, like ranting.
Well, we're told
about like their own sort of pathology.
we're told
Like,
that Nigel Farage is a brilliant public speaker.
Is he?
Sounds like this. Boris Johnson, we're told, is a brilliant public speaker. He sounds like this. Who else is a brilliant public speaker?
I mean, don't they just say build, education?
Yeah,
They say
they're not
things
brilliant
that are-
public speakers. James Baldwin is a brilliant public speaker. Borges was a brilliant public speaker. Hitler was not. He's just shouting.
Yeah.
So what they think of as brilliant public speaking is shouting.
Frothing at the mouth.
Yeah.
People just scream.
I mean, I can shout, but it's tiring. I'd rather talk sort of, calmly and
Yeah.
placidly and like I'm at the jazz club.
like Tony Robinson the other day.
Brilliant public speaker.
And but he screamed so much that I can hear nodules on his voice.
He wants to get that looked at.
No, but it's like
Does Space
you can hear
Nadine
that
Norris.
he's got proper vocal damage.
Yeah, he needs to get it looked at.
All of his time screaming.
Yeah.
No, he's probably got permanent scarring from being a little tantrumy brat.
Well, it sounds to me like he needs some TLC, ASAP. Well, what do you call the department where is the what do you call the ear, nose and throat clinic?
ENT.
Doesn't it have a special like name?
No, it's like ENT outpatient.
He wants to. Well, Tommy Robinson, get yourself to ENT outpatients, get a tube down your throat, and get it looked at because. When you're doing panto 10 years from now, when that's your only option, you're gonna have to be shouting a lot.
He's so gonna end up in panto.
He's totally gonna end up in
Who's he
panto.
gonna play? I mean, he hates drag, doesn't he? So
He'd play like Buttons. He'd be that kind of character.
yeah, he could come in and punch some children.
Yeah,
Whatever
these
it
are the
is that he
panto
does.
stars of the future,
They
like
are.
Farage,
Andrew
Tommy
Tate.
Robbins, Andrew Tate, yeah, future panto stars. We've forgotten that that's what happens to a certain quotient of celebrity culture is that they end up in panto and Tommy Robinson doing
it's
panto.
Terrifying. You
Yeah.
feel like you're gonna get killed whenever you go there. So they fit right in.
Yeah, exactly. The shift of panto towards the far right, it would not be that
I mean,
unexpected.
the times that I've been to panto, I've felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah.
I've really just felt, and it reminded me of being up at Edinburgh Fringe and being taken to this thing called the Heckle Show. And I went up to Edinburgh Fringe to sort of do like bits of punk stuff and video art. So I didn't really go to comedy shows much, like big ones. And this one was one that, like, the crowd was really, really aggressive, and it was like a long room, it was dark, and the whole point was you got given a panel, and then the comedian would talk, and then you were allowed to heckle if you had
You
the
got
panel.
given a panel. Oh,
like a
right,
thing, a little
right.
paddle thing.
I thought you
And,
meant like a committee of
like,
people.
and someone gave it to me, and then and I just sort of said something sort of nihilist or whatever. I don't know how to heckle. I was sort of saying, do you ever feel like maybe this is all undermining our sort of our fundamental authenticity as performance?
Oh, did you have to do some
I had
heckling?
to do some heckling, so I said something like that. And the comedians were fine with it because they looked terrified. Like, it was really like a violent atmosphere. But everyone in the crowd wanted to kill me. I didn't say anything that was like political. I didn't say anything that was like... I think I said something about the structure of, like, I don't know, just something stupid. It's supposed to be throwaway, it's supposed to be light. It's a comedy festival, it's supposed to be fun. But, like, literally they all wanted to kill me, all the people in the audience. And then they were asking what my name was, and I made one up, and they all the audience reacted as if they were angry that they wouldn't be able to find out who I was, so that they could go and track me down afterwards. And in the end, I just ran away.
That's probably for the
I
best.
can't, you know, that sort of, I've been in many audiences where I felt like I was going to die, so
Yeah.
there's some weird, like, sort of, like, catharsis thing going on that makes people scary.
I haven't been to many comedy gigs as an adult, but name drop, my old pal Frankie Boyle got me free tickets to his show in Plymouth the last time I was living in Devon many years ago. And it was in, like, I don't know, it was in, like, you know, the sort of venues that look like leisure centres, that look like big leisure centres. It was one of them. And there was thousands and thousands of people there. And I felt like I was in the belly of this big monster where everything was covered with knives.
Yeah,
Everything felt sharp and aggressive, and it felt like it could emerge into the world's biggest punch-up at any time.
Exactly what it feels like. I went to one up in Leeds, and I went in like a couple of minutes late, and immediately the guy was all over it, sort of thing. Like talking at me, and then of course, like, if people are talking to me, then I'm going to talk, because and then that's never a good idea for mainstream society, because it really scares them, and they think there's some sort of demonic thing. In fact, we got another comment about...
Oh, we got a complaint.
About being demonic.
Yeah.
I've called that many times.
Yeah. Well, it's okay to be called that, because you kind of are.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I didn't think that people believed in this stuff en masse, and then...
Do you like that foley of the doll?
Oh yeah, that was really convincing. That was with a cabbage and, like, a pair of pliers.
Yeah. And Tommy Robinson's first Panto contract. Here's a question, Lottie. Huey Lewis and the news. Well, the news is usually the news and sport. So what happened to Huey Lewis and the sport? Where did the sport go? What are the population going to do if there's no sports?
Well, I have no answer to that, I'm afraid, which is why I'm planning on trying to introduce a program of avant-garde sports in schools or something.
Yeah.
See if anyone wants it.
Yeah, we would like to bring
I mean,
avant-garde sport to your PE department. We would like to do that very soon. Here's Lottie to tell you more about our offer, which has already been offered to one school.
I'm getting pitched together as we speak. Well, in 2017, you...
We went on tour around Europe with an avant-garde sports presentation.
Which was in response to the fact that the Arts Council or the National Lottery had merged the sport and the art.
Well,
funding.
everything across culture seemed to do that.
Yeah.
There's even the National Foundation for Sport and the Arts, which I don't even know if it still exists.
But you know, artists aren't necessarily renowned for their kind of like. I mean, they do this like play in the public space, but I don't know if they're like really into running. Because traditionally, kind of sort of traditionally they kind of stay up late and be really despairing and tortured and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, you know, the kids who were into sport and the kids who were into art were eternal rivals all the way at school. And as an art child, out, you know, not popular person, I was terrified of sports, but that didn't mean that I wasn't good at them, because it was like when I found ones that I was into, like tennis.
I like tennis. I'm not saying I was good at it, but I maybe could have got good at it with some practice.
Like a sponsored skip. I always wanted to do like fencing and archery and stuff like that. But I always found that when I was at school, if I was good at a sport, the PE teacher would strategically make it so I was not allowed to play the sport, because they had to keep me in this position of being the one that was assigned the loser.
Yeah.
Because and so when we did the ones that I was good at, I wasn't allowed to do it anymore.
Well,
Baseball, I enjoyed that. So, what I'm proposing is that we get a sport-art merger, so that, you know, all groups can be represented. There can be some sort of like interdisciplinary thing. And although artists are probably not really necessarily all athletic, a lot of them are really competitive. So we could have competitive art. And I think it could just be great, and so.
But it wouldn't be competitive art, as in like, what's the better painting? It would be
like watercolor challenge. You know, finish the painting. But you could also do.
Or it could be graded.
The triathlon could sort of be integrated with the.
Ways.
You know, they do the running or whatever, and then they get to a bit after they swam through the lake, they have to get out and then paint a nice watercolor, and then they go across the finish line.
Do they have to paint? Could it be that they have to paint a pleasing watercolor in like in a lot 40 seconds or something?
Yeah, after they've been swimming.
Yeah.
So you know it'd be difficult, it'd be shaky.
And it would have to have an individual judge for the watercolour, because pleasing is a very obviously subjective thing. So it would be to please a particular person, a judge of the watercolour.
Who's the most sort of interdisciplinary watercolour sport person? I mean, it'd be violence, wouldn't it? People who are in sort of both.
I think that sport,
you know, picnic sort of.
Sport in its original meaning means, as you know, killing animals. So you could say that the person who has combined sport and the arts the most is Damien Hirst, with his dead animals.
I was thinking about Damien Hirst earlier.
Balsamic vinegar, or whatever it is. Formaldehyde. Dead animals in.
Why didn't he do them in aspic?
Because he's not a real artist.
I mean, he's really not. His work's absolutely terrible. It's okay for me to say that because I'm an obscure artist. Damien Hirst's work is terrible, but it's not as terrible as Stuart Semple's work, which is even more terrible. And I think on a personal level, I would probably dislike Stuart Semple a lot more than I would dislike Damien Hirst. But I'd probably dislike Damien Hirst a little bit.
I mean,
But I'd find him annoying. Oh well, I dislike.
We can have mutual.
I dislike people on different levels. I like a lot of people, but I dislike a lot of people too. And that's okay, because if we like everyone, then, well, we'd live in utopia, and we clearly don't, as you've seen from the subject of this program so far. and my vocal performance of Huey Lewis and the News, which you had to have inflicted on me for whatever it is, 3.5 minutes. I have no idea what that is. We'll leave that what that was. That was mysterious. That's a little mystery for you here on Sound on the radio. And I have absolutely no idea. This is the one I've been using for a couple of days or whatever. You don't know what it's about, do you, listener? Well, you're not going to find out.
This is really boring.
This is part of the mysticism of radio. So I've been thinking a lot lately about my second favourite dictator. You know, I usually talk about my first favourite dictator, Little Father, Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. Well, my second favourite dictator now is the chainsaw guy, Javier Milei in Argentina.
You know,
he looks like a 1970s television children's presenter who was later caught by Operation U-Tree, like someone like that. But he isn't. He's the Argentinian president, and he's wild. And the thing about him, I think that if you could scientifically measure it, you know, and if you look at that guy, I think he is the most corruptible person who's ever existed, and he'll do absolutely anything for money, even if it goes against any of his core principles. He will do anything for money and for a photo opportunity. The footage of him weeping against the wall in Jerusalem was absolutely spectacular, as was the footage of him performing with his rock band, which he does have. He sings in a rock band. Now, this, as dictators go, is fairly exemplary, because what do you want from your dictators? You want them to be pleasing in some way. You know, they've got to be funny or they've got to be entertaining. Now, I love my little father, Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un of North Korea, because of his wonderful smile, his obsession with Emmental cheese, his obsession with Bond movies, and the fact that obviously he loves a lovely day out. He's very close friends with Dennis Rodman, as Lottie just said, and also he founded one of the best bands in the world, the North Korean Moranbong Band. If you're going to argue with me about that, then get online, look at the North Korean Moranbong Band, and tell me that I'm wrong, because I'm not wrong. They are one of the best bands in the world, and they do want their music to be heard outside of North Korea. And I'm sure Little Father is very happy for their music to be heard outside of North Korea, because, goodness gracious, it's good PR. Those sassy ladies in their air hostess outfits, with their guitars, their big hefty flying V bass guitars. Great musicians all round, and lovely women to boot, you know, lovely women.
I've never heard them put a note out of place.
Never heard them.
There may well be a reason for that.
Never heard them put a note out of place. Well, no, they just never would put a note out of place because they want to please their little father. At least that's what I think. If I lived anywhere near Little Father, I'd want to please him too. I'm not sure I'd like to please Milei though. Javier Milei. Is it Javier Milei, the sort of
wielding a chainsaw.
gammon punk singing chainsaw?
No, I saw some.
I'm surprised he didn't have some accidents yet with
I
that.
saw some footage of him with his followers, and there were all these people stood really close to him, and he had a chainsaw. Is it a real chainsaw, or is it made of
I don't know. I think it's
But they all
maybe
seemed awfully close, and they're all waving
close
their
to
hands
the
about. And
chainsaw.
it's sort of, well, I don't know. I don't want to go within sort of like 20 metres of the chainsaw. If I'm in the same room as a chainsaw, it scares me.
It's probably a good idea for you not to go 20 metres cameras of General Millet as well,
Yeah, I mean, I think people are trusting people playing with chainsaws around a little bit too
A little
much.
bit
I'm sure
too
there's
much.
like a parable about how you should do that.
Well, after all, the film isn't just called Texas Chainsaw, is it?
Yeah.
It has the result there in the title.
Yeah.
What happens usually with a chainsaw? Either
Accidents.
a massacre or a lovely topiary. It just depends.
It's not. I knew of a guy who
You didn't know a chainsaw accident either.
A friend of mine had a friend who came into the life of pub, but he went to the war and he lost his thumb. It was like,
Ooh.
what did you do there? And apparently it was a work accident.
My great grandmother.
A lot of people are just kind of, I'm in admiration for
Yeah. My great grandmother, Nana
accidents.
Zoe, only had half a thumb. She only had half of one of her thumbs because she had tried to fix the lawnmower and plugged in.
I do know a lot of engineer people who have to deal with welds in their eyes. A lot.
Oh,
So-
weld.
Well, I mean, it's impressive what people.
I don't want weld in my eyes. Keep that weld away from my
You should
eyes.
write that into a song.
Keep that weld away from my eyes.
Yeah, keep that
That's a
weld
great
away
song.
from my eyes. And actually, talking to you that, we're going to be doing The Void the musical tomorrow, which is not today.
Adomani
Saturday. Maybe that could go in
at
it.
First Spark Festival, Sound Art Radio's festival for. Is it in bulk? Is that now?
I think so.
And I have no idea.
I'm not a very good witch.
It's something like that.
You know,
I'm a bad witch, but that's fine.
Time is originally placing at the same time.
So-
It doesn't, but the infinity contains all things.
Yeah, this will be us and our wonderful participants giving you The Void, the musical, and there will also be a performance from the Rotterdam collective Resistor. So come along. But also you can come along and be in The Void, the musical.
If you have any strong feelings in the void or not, either way, do come along and feel free to sing or don't.
What we particularly need, ideally, if there's anyone listening who is a void supervisor, then you could steal the show.
Yeah, because I need to know what that is. This is also the purpose of this venture, is to find out what a void supervisor is, because I went to university to do philosophy until the university closed down the degree, and prior to that I couldn't really tell whether I existed. And then when the degree closed down, it was a lot more confusing. But I did a little bit of stuff about nihilism, and then recently they put nihilism on the Prevent program, which I find confusing because A, I don't think they know what it is, and B, how can you negate a negation? So I thought what we actually need is this big sort of like dancing spectacular about the void.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if, with my limited sort of qualification that I managed to get before we shut down the university, whether I too could be a void supervisor. In that I know a little bit about nihilism and.
I'm almost certain you could become a void supervisor.
And although I've only got a level 4, I'm wondering if, I've supervised a lot of voids, been in a lot of voids. I think I've been in many interesting voids.
I've been in any interesting voids. I've been in a few mental voids.
Oh, I've been in loads of voids.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad.
Well, I suppose I have had weird experiences with, I guess, seizures where I'm suddenly falling through endless black space with the panels of the bed falling around me and then get pulled by my hair further into the void. So I've been into those kind of voids. In a similar state, I saw when I was about 17, I saw the whole, I was laid on my bed and the whole room around me became deep pitch blackness. And then in the corner, the top left corner, I could see this like a room but without the walls, so I could see into the room. And there was a sort of just like a room in the corner, a miniature room, but I could see like I could see through the walls of the room. There's a window behind, and I was there, and there was someone on the other side of the table, his desk, and I was across the desk, and I was wearing like chinos and a sort of scratty white shirt and a tie, and I had sort of unkempt stubble, like I got now actually. I was a bit fat, and I had terrible glasses on. And
What sort of glasses? Kind of like sort of
estate agency, yeah.
Or is it like
Yeah. I think they were the kind of glasses. Those kind, but some people look great in, but not me.
You know,
those kind that don't have any frames, that are just sort of
the
like,
see-through ones.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, not the see-through. You know, the kind that's just the lens.
Yeah, I don't.
Those
I
things,
can't.
yeah.
Some people are really good at them.
Yeah, they do.
Like
But
computer
not
programmers
me.
in the 90s,
Yeah.
like the ones that are like just really square.
Yeah.
That were kind of square.
And I saw that in the corner of the room, and then sort of zoomed into it and was in the room and could hear the conversation, but it was sort of like too loud and reverberating, so I couldn't hear the exact words. And then my point of view shifted to me seeing through the eyes of the me that was at the table, and then I saw myself seizing on my head, and then I snapped out of it and was in the bed. And I since think, mystically inclined as I now am, that that was telling me that the pursuit of the life of the normal person in this society was not for me, and I'd look greasy and I'd wear a tie.
Was that before or you got offered?
Oh, before.
Oh right, well maybe it was a premonition.
Yeah. It would be about the time. It depends, because there was a time I got off the job advertising, and there was a time when I was quite young, 21 or something like that, and I went for an ad agency interview, and I played them some more audio stuff that I was making and showed them some people stuff. They told me to go away because I had too many ideas. But the second time,
I think people kind of want to
yeah, but I got told that I would have to not have any qualms or ethics about what my work was used for, and foolish as it may be, I couldn't actually really live with myself if I knew that my music was being used for McDonald's. I'd feel like it's hard to find a word without swearing. Well, I'd feel like a hypocrite. Dirty, I'd feel filthy, like I was covered in poo.
just accept it. So,
And everything is
That's the thing, like this whole kind of. I mean, I spent most of my teens, 20s, and early 30s kind of fishing out bits of meat from various restaurant platforms and stuff like that. I've never eaten meat, but I don't do it anymore. I can't pick out the corpse. It makes me feel sick. I'm sure that we haven't traditionally dealt with so many bits of sort of like desiccated body, really.
no.
Which I don't know trouble about saying meat is a dead animal.
Oh yeah, because
Recently.
you have to pretend it's not,
But I mean,
to
it
not
is.
talk about
It
it.
is
It is, yeah.
There
But
was it was
like
in
a lot of
response
things
to-
in our culture, it's very conditioned and propagandized.
It was in response to stories about how the village somewhere in the UK where they're going to build like a slaughterhouse right next to preschool. And it was kind of, or something like that, right next to like a sort of community family estate, and the people in the estate were saying, this is horrible. I mean, whatever your feelings on, I mean, putting an extra school is so dystopian, you know? And I think I said,
Yes.
they pointed this out, and it just, people jump all over it and scream at you and everything like that. It really feels like
Yes, like so many things in our society, it's completely insane and stupid. So people didn't eat as much meat. Like people cannot have eaten as much meat because there wasn't this mass production of.
Well, they found that someone was excavating that site in Pompeii, and everyone found a bunch of stuff that early Romans ate, and it was all
They ate pizza.
Pizza.
There was a painting of a pizza. They were eating a pizza.
like tomatoes.
Julius
like,
Caesar ate pizza.
Oh, it was just some more people who live, people like mostly sort of have always kind of mostly eaten beans
Like
and
bread.
fruits and bread and maybe eggs if you kept chickens. That it hasn't been this culture of like constant sort of gnawing on the earth. Because otherwise, there's kind of the rate of consumption. See, if we consumed, we killed humans at the same rate that we kill animals, we would be, the whole population would be gone within 10 days, or something, 2 weeks.
Well, that's something to think about, isn't it?
No, I mean, whatever you, it's obviously not sustainable, it's not ideal, and
No, I mean when I say it's something to think
Yeah,
about, maybe it's a good idea.
to like.
Just factory farm ourselves.
Right, okay, well.
We could mass factory
I
farm
mean, I
ourselves
love
to
soy-
extinction.
I love Soylent Green, it's a great movie.
Yes, I hadn't seen Soylent Green, and did we watch it quite recently? I can't remember anything about it.
It's people.
Charleston Headstone is in it though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And then
From my cold dead hands. Remember
the
that?
NRA have just put out a big sort of.
Yes, because Trump said that the man with the gun shouldn't have had a gun even though he had a gun
And
license. Yeah,
was perfectly entitled to carry that
under their laws. Wow.
They've just put out a disclaimer saying we categorically disagree with this position, and that anyone who's licensed and is adherent to the laws in their country, that's the rule.
Yeah, it's quite difficult, you would have thought, to have a Gestapo in a country where the population is also armed.
That just sounds like a recipe for civil war, doesn't it? And how would, my question about that, civil war in America with both sides armed, well, how would that ever end? And there would be no central organisation, really, you know? So that could be like the 2,000-year civil war.
I'm not laughing.
Just as long as enough people procreate to keep up with the rate of people shooting each other in the United States, which will just be renamed United Wild West.
It's an interesting time to realise.
Yeah,
That's all I can say.
I think not. Therefore, I
destroy the society.
Yeah.
The only space is the thing of life, and the only void is where you're at.
Yes. That is alarmingly true. We need to bring ethics lessons back, so you got to get a new religion or something, so we can have some ethics again.
Join mine if you want.
Yes.
I don't know, like, I'm not really up for talking to people, but just sort of keep it in mind. It's basically like all religions are giant or whatever.
But they wouldn't be just any people if they were disciples of your church, though, would they? They would be your disciples.
Well, I mean, it's like a non-hierarchical order, I think.
Well, but in a non-hierarchical order, aren't you all
like,
ultimately disciples of one another?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to find that consciousness has some sort of group aspect anyway, so it's probably like the Mormons.
Well, this is Sound Art Radio, where the conversation can drift, and it's a bit different to your Radio 4. Yesterday I was in the kitchen doing a bit of washing, a bit of cooking, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to put the radio on. I scanned through some stations. There was some really terrible pop music, and then there was about 4 things that seemed to be all doing the same sports results, and then eventually I found Radio 3 and kept that on for a little bit, but then it went to something really annoying, so then I went to Radio 4 I think it was Radio 4 anyway, and Lottie, what was on there? Oh, it was so brilliant. Did I tell you about it? It was this I could get his age because he mentioned his age, but it was my favourite thing. It was a middle-aged stand-up comedian playing to an infused audience in a small room, presume a BBC studio, and oh my goodness, it was so funny what he was doing. He was talking about the differences between men and women. Things like women have their handbags and men don't need a handbag because they've got less stuff, and why do you girls have to carry so much stuff anyway? What have you got in there? A machine gun and all that sort of thing. It was so funny. It was so funny. And he said,
so, I mean, time doesn't exist like that for me. Time
that took a long time, didn't
down
it?
There and
Yeah.
stopped completely, and then I felt like I was growing up on the Isle of Wight in the 90s again.
Yeah. Well, he also talked about how.
I bet he's played on the Isle of Wight.
I bet he has. He also talked about how women take longer to get dressed because they've got more stuff to do, and men just have to leave the house with no visible poo on them. That was in it. That's funny. Funny. And I was just honestly amazed by the lyricism, the elegance, the originality, the wit, the cross contextualization and intersectionality of it. It was an astonishing,
amazing,
and it was an astonishing performance.
I've watched a lot of stand-up. I don't know why. I think because I was homeless quite a lot, and there were lots of gigs on. So if I played my cards right, I could really follow something about and sit indoors for a while. And I've watched a lot of stand-up. A lot of it is terrible.
But did you ever see any?
A lot of it is like.
Have you ever heard though of any middle-aged guy? Have you ever heard of a middle-aged stand-up doing something about the difference between men and women? I mean, that's so original.
Weirdly, I haven't really actually seen that sort of thing because people sort of they kind of didn't really do that for a while. And then
Because they only talk about themselves.
Well, it was all sort of wacky for a while.
Oh, right.
It was whoa.
Oh, you mean the contemporary clowning
Well,
scene?
yeah. I guess there was was in London was there a lot of crossover with sort of Martins?
Oh, probably.
The Shoreditch thing and stuff.
Oh, no.
So, but then there was this big, right-wing sort of hey, let's get back to the worst aspects of the 70s movement in about 2014, and it's all been sort of the crazy world of postmodern sort of Jim Davidson,
and now comedy
since.
is
Ha ha ha, we hate everyone.
Comedy is the sort of right-wing comedy which hates the woke people,
But I don't think
and then
really knows what
there's the woke comedy that posits its existence against the right-wing ones, but they're all actually as right-wing as each other in their behaviour.
There's a lot of talk about kind of appearances in the media and stuff, and I just kind of think if you're talking about improving Harry Potter or whatever, if you're talking about in terms of mainstream film that's funded by lots of corporations and talking about trying to kind of get equal fairness in that. I mean, it's kind of a toilet as an industry. So, and there's a lot of, I personally don't think that it's. Well, I just think spending the amount of money that is more than the GDP of an entire country on one Marvel film is just it's a bit, isn't it? A bit amoral in the end of the planet.
Well, since
I
film
just don't think that we can ever really expect mega mainstream anything to kind of become ethical. So the quicker alternative is to kind of give up on it and start your own.
Yeah, well,
thing.
I think that is what's going to happen. I think all of those industries are going to collapse, and then independent production will be the way that we do things, which is the way we've always done things all the way through history until our current military-industrial entertainment complex. Military-industrial entertainment complex.
So it's to the extent of kind of this whole idea of everybody's a celebrity has resulted in just not being able to contact anyone at all.
Yeah.
So nobody responds, and that's from things like local press.
Yeah.
I can't get the local paper in certain places to get back in touch. I had to beg for some local news coverage because it's sort of from this perspective of we're too important to cover you. But it's I was just sort of saying, can you just put us in your listings?
Yeah.
And everybody was acting as if I was we're too good for you.
And then one of them on the last thing acted just like that, and then they wrote their article with ChatGPT.
Yeah. And and I offered free tickets. I offered a shout out to them on the radio and to sort of put people's advertising in and stuff. And people are just extremely hostile now, and it's sort of where's this This wasn't what it was
That's
like.
not how you get a
That's
culture.
not what it was like up until recently.
But also,
There's
it's not
like-
how you get a culture.
There's no scene.
You get a culture by people sharing what is happening.
And you always find in small towns, because obviously, like, you know, both you and I have been perpetually sort of homeless for many years and having to move around sort of wherever the work is or wherever you kind of happen to be able to find somewhere to live, maybe, and getting stuck in places for longer than, you know, going to a place and then ending up there for like 3 years, sort of thing. And I've lived all over the country, and and being all over the place, and every single town has this weird dynamic where all of the arts venues compete with each other and they hate each other. And it's kind of, well, hang on a minute, like, it doesn't really sound like you're in kind of particular solidarity with supporting artists or trying to actually perpetuate kind of good work or like impact the community well. And they're all, yeah, I don't know.
At the beginning of the sort of like early on in the internet, and bear in mind I made one of the first net labels. Early in the days of the internet, probably about, I made my first net label in 2000 maybe, but this is probably about 2003 when the net label scene was really happening, it's really starting to happen. And I put out a bit of text which really did the rounds on message boards and everywhere, and lots of people were like, yes, it's brilliant. And the basic idea was, you know, it literally ended with a reference to you've nothing to lose but your chains. The basic idea was that in the internet space, we have no need to rely upon mechanisms like advertising if all of the record labels cross-promote each other. This is great music, listen to this. And then everyone then becomes aware of all the record labels, or a big cross-section of the record labels. And it really went around and did the rounds a bit, and I wonder if that was one of those bottom of the radar things, and the person who's left wing, even though I'm not left wing, I'm certainly not right wing. I'm just against murder, and I'm against stupid bigotry.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, does that make me left wing? I'm against murder and
I
bigotry.
don't know what to say really. I don't like seeing like destruction and suffering. Nobody seems to consider every other species that lives on the planet, and we really don't know if we can do with any. And it seems to be planet-wide destruction that's all caused by similar companies, techniques, and I think that the human race deserves better and we can do better. And we're in 2025 and we should probably give up on random violence and murder. It obviously hasn't worked using heavy artillery and stuff. That doesn't work, so let's try the opposite of that, which is to turn it all off, which everyone's like, oh, that's idealistic, but actually we weren't always in the military, we weren't always in hating each other and killing, well, you know, disregarding it, but we weren't always in industry, so obviously we can also have that reality, can't we? I mean, it's, you always have people saying that you can't change the world, but the people who are in control are like however many sort of leaders. It's like a handful of people. You could probably put everyone who works in some sort of capacity of power in a room together, like, or like, you know, they would all certainly fit like on the Isle of Wight.
But it's also just categorically untrue that individual
They
people
change
can't
the
change
world.
the world.
They all like follow their completely insane dreams of like.
Well, what about Gandhi?
Yeah, exactly. And also the other thing as well is like, is basically the whole project.
But in fact,
is, like,
all of it is individual people do change the world constantly,
all the time.
every day,
All the
probably
time.
every minute. There is something that will knock on profoundly in the world. So this whole idea is just disenchantment. Individual people can change the world and do So, who's gonna lead the evolution with a small R then? Who's gonna do that? Now, I was thinking large oaks from little acorns grow. Don't be a tiny seed. Grow into a bigger tree by giving up your bigotry. Huh? I'll say it again, it's good, isn't it? Large oaks from little acorns grow. Don't be a tiny seed. Sprout into a bigger tree by giving up your bigotry. Huh? That's what I've been cooking up these last minutes. Oh, it'd be lovely to put in a card. Nobody.
Anti-fascist card.
Yes, nobody's done this business of if you've got a fascist friend, get them an anti-fascist greeting card, just to tell them that's a great idea. Hey, maybe that's maybe we should do this. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, like good to have one of those little music boxes in it and play a nice song to get people to calm down and have a little spritz of kind of raspberry rose sort of thing. So when you open
get
it,
scented cards.
when you open it, well, no, we can make it ourselves. When you open it,
I'll
it
just put some
sings like
raspberry.
it puts like Donna Summer, like I feel love, and like no one can be sad if they're listening to Donna Summer, and then all those people will turn that world upside down.
Yeah, I think we should absolutely go into business with our fascist greeting card company. Anti-fascist greeting card company. A fascist greeting card company would also be an interesting business proposition. They'd probably do business with the roof. But I think a lot of people, I actually think that substantially, especially on a demographic level, since the people have looked very old and died since Brexit, I'm pretty sure on a demographic level there are far less fascists than the media would have us think. There are far less rioters, gammony, flag-waving, aggressive people. The difference with the far right is that they're loud, is that they're noisy, and so the people who aren't far right and who want to see like a just and fair world also have to be noisy, maybe a little bit aggressive, but in a playful way. Pussy Riot put it the most eloquently, I think, saying that what people and artists particularly need to be now is to present the idea of the God's fool. The playful disruptor and the imp of mischief.
Yeah, I just think it's all the time to people got some of their advice what to do from random sort of wandering sat about on a rock for various reasons having altered states, and then that informed political leadership. So we could.
I think we need to bring that back. I would take political advice from a really high lady, wouldn't you? You know, someone who does barely know where she is, really at one with the cosmos. I would, yeah, I would totally take that advice. So what we need clearly is more love in the world. You know, love is actually what makes the world go round. All kinds of love. And for that reason, the power of love, securest thing. Make one man weep, make another man sing. Change your heart to a little white dove. More than a feeling,
That's the power of love. Tougher than diamonds, whips like cream. Stronger and harder than a bad girl's dream. Make a bad one good, make a wrong right. Power of love, keep you home at night. Don't need money, don't need fame. Don't need no credit card to ride this train. Strong and it's sudden, it's cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life.
I never knew what it was saying there.
That's the power of love. That's the power of love. First time you feel it, might make you sad. Next time you feel it, might make you mad. You'll be glad, baby, when you found that the power makes the world go round. Don't need money, don't take fame, don't need no credit card to ride this train. It's strong and it's sudden, it's cruel sometimes, and might